Hello, everybody. Happy Friday to all of you guys out there. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News, and we've got a Bachelor in Paradise beef. That's right. No clickbait here. This is full-blown Bachelor in Paradise drama. They've got each other's stories mixed up. Who's winning? Instagram shout-outs, throwing shade on podcasts. We have Blake with a hot tub response. It's all over the place, folks. It's worth it. I'm going to take you through every step of the way. I will be your shaman as we lead ourselves through this BIP tornado. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals and Patreon on patreon.com/Dave Neal. I'm doing an epic live stream tonight. The only way to access the live stream will be through Patreon or the Facebook group Dave Neal's Community. I'm going to be doing a 5 or 6 hour live stream tonight as I edit my Hawaii vlog. If you want to be a part of the party, I'll be eating pizza and getting grease on the keyboard. Not a metaphor, but speaking of a greasy fight, we've got Blake and Natasha. There's a lot to this because Natasha's friends with Becca, who ditched Blake at the altar. Maybe there's bitterness. Let's get into it and see what happened. I'm going to share with you guys Natasha's response. Then I'm going to share with you guys Blake's response. And I'm also going to say what other podcasters are saying about this, but this is how it all started. And then at the very end of this video, Ref Dave is going to come out, and I'm going to tell you my official stance on the beef. I do predict a winner here. And as you guys know, follow the receipts. I've enjoyed Natasha and Blake. I vouched for Natasha. I've said she should be the next Bachelorette. And I've also said Blake's one of my favorite to come from the show because he went on Bachelor in Paradise, got slandered all up and down the beach, and he still came out on top. So advice that Blake gave Stagecoach participants, other Bachelor Nation folks, during his time at Stagecoach when he was DJing last weekend. He said, use the show in the same way they use you. Go down there, make a name for yourself, and if you happen to find the love of your life while down there, awesome. Even better. The odds of that are slim, though. The only advice I gave them was to be careful of the official Bachelor podcast.
Be careful who you bang.
Because the host, be careful of the official podcast host if they are down there. They are ABC employees and will always get a good edit. So don't go against them or date someone they have their eyes on. I think they should not allow these people on the beach after last season. And I love all those people that went down there, but it's a huge slap in the face of the audience. Like they think we are dumb. Now, here's what he said to kind of further elaborate on his podcast before Natasha responds.
There's no real advice. I told him there's no real advice I can give you. Like, I can't be like, yeah, go in there and start a havoc because that works for some, but it doesn't work for everybody. Go in there and be quiet and be furniture. Yes, that works for some, but it doesn't work for everybody. So it's just kind of like, you just kind of got to go down there and be yourself and just do what feels right in the moment. The only advice I did give them, and it was something I talked about in the Q&A today, was if there's anybody down there who is a host of an official Bachelor podcast, do not get on their bad side. Do not fuck with them.
It's just like saying if you work at a job, don't mess with the boss's son or the boss's wife. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to come out on top.
I'm not saying stay away from them. Be friends with them, but don't go after somebody they're dating. Don't piss them off because they will get a good edit no matter what. ABC.
So he's saying, don't do anything wrong. Just don't piss them off.
Makes money off of them getting a good edit.
Well, thing is, also the hosts make money off of ABC. I mean, they're on contract. They get paid. They're on their payroll.
Yeah, but the thing is,
they should not be down. The hosts just should not be a part of the show.
And they may never be again. They may not. That might have been a very unique 1 year thing because Natasha has said she's not going.
But you also think about it, like, Becca, Joe, they found
love. That's the craziest part of it all. Yeah, Becca, Joe, and I mean, I guess Natasha. And
I guess Tia, she found it outside the show.
Now to the defense of the company man, Joe did get not a bad edit, but he had to deal with his ex coming back, all that jazz. But then again, he came out on top, came out rosy.
Yeah. Tia was, she was definitely probably, they were leaning towards her being a host anyway. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it doesn't work for them, but I mean, we saw what happens if you go against Tasha. You saw what happens if you go against Joe, Becca. Yeah.
If you go against Joe, Becca, anyone who's a host of a podcast, you're going against ABC.
Exactly.
And to be fair, Brendan went against Natasha and he brought his own toxicity to it. So they aired that out. So I think the point stands, though, that, they're not going to, they're not going to bite the hand that feeds. They're not going to, the show is not going to give a bad edit if they can avoid it to one of their own hosts, unless they're willing, unless the edit is so juicy and salacious that they want to burn ties with that host.
Just expect to get buried.
Expect to get buried, and that's confirmation bias. He's saying there's confirmation bias that exists there, and so here we've got a Game of Roses, which is probably the most informative, tells it like it is podcast out there with the how the show actually is. I was on Game of Roses podcast this week. Fantastic. Chad and Lizzie came to my stand-up show last night. I'll post a photo of that on my Instagram. They're such lovely people. They're so good at what they do. And here is the kind of explanation of why they disagree with Natasha.
One person who needs to shut their effing mouth.
Ooh, I'm
So she's saying Blake needs to shut his mouth.
One person who needs to shut their effing mouth.
Ooh, I'm so curious. I'm so curious. I wonder.
A girl or guy? Girl or guy?
It was a guy.
His name is Blake Horstman. His name is Blake.
You
He should not give anyone advice about paradise. Period.
Okay, that's exactly what I was referring to. Because
Give no fucks. Don't care.
So
Wait.
Two things. The number one person, arguably, that future Bachelor in Paradise players should go to for advice is Blake Horstman.
I agree.
It is not Natasha. I don't know if you remember this, but when she was on Bachelor in Paradise, she got the princess treatment, okay? They literally made up a rose out of thin air that Big Polly gave her to keep her on the show.
That's true.
Okay, so she has no idea what it's like to be on sand and not be a protected company man player. And second thing,
I love that they call him company man. I just love the terminology over here.
why so defensive? Again, what has Blake ever done to you, Natasha? Or is it what has Blake said that has affected the organization that you work for?
Now, I don't, now in my defense of Natasha, I don't think Natasha's in any way overreacting because she feels like it affects her livelihood or any of that. I think she just heard what Blake was saying and took it in a different direction. I think if she were to re-listen to what Blake's saying, he's saying, hey, just don't get on their bad side, And Blake responded she was given a rose by production. So Blake's in here in the comment section doing his response, and let's just let it go on.
That's it, isn't it?
Nothing happened between us, and I'm pretty sure nothing happened between Kate and Blake. She seems like a smart girl.
In my personal experience, when somebody resorts to name calling or just being mean in a debate or an argument, it just means that they have no concrete, real facts to stand on. So
fake news.
Resort to just being mean.
Sleepy Joe.
Wow. She says some more things in this episode that were just mean. I'm not going to cover them here. We'll cover them in our Digging Deeper coming out Monday. Trust me, we will cover it. But yeah, wow. What a thing to wake up to.
All right, go. If you're not already, run, don't walk, run to Game of Roses. They're great. Anyway, so we've got Blake's response, but first Natasha. And then Blake seals it. But here's Natasha's response, elaborating. Again, we heard what Blake said. It was relatively factual, right?
About it because it happened to me. So by saying that I'm going to get a good edit because I have a podcast, clickbait, you could get a bad edit if you mess with me. And to be careful of me. And so you're basically villainizing me.
Okay, whenever you say you're probably conflating. Whenever you're like, so what you're trying to say is you're conflating things. So he's saying the show's going to do that. He's not saying he's not saying it's almost like if Natasha was a princess in the royal family. Natasha is not going to send the goons of the royal family out to you. But if you mess with Natasha, you're messing with the royal family, and the royal family will do something about it, unbeknownst to Natasha. So she might just think she's out there getting a perfect edit left and right, doing her thing. But there's people out there that the show can use as fireworks, as drama. The show can light other people on fire and dispose of them because they're not company players. That's what Blake is saying. And that's how it is in society. So that's why we always talk about building up your equity, not renting out your time, having ownership over whatever it is you do. Because if you're a fringe player, the show might kill you off.
Because I have a podcast, instead of holding the toxic people accountable.
Both are true.
That's where I have a problem. No, if you're taking what Blake is saying and you're rallying behind it, you're basically excusing toxic behavior. Again,
basically, I don't think we're excusing toxic behavior at all. If you do something or say something, it can and will be used against you. But we have yet to see that happen to somebody who works for the Bachelor team. Becca, Joe, Natasha, we have yet to see them. And I guess we're supposed to believe that they're just better people.
I was not toxic on the beach.
True.
Joe wasn't toxic in his relationship.
Well, see, she said Joe wasn't toxic in his relationship. Joe was kind of toxic. Remember what Joe, he created a band of bros that was telling Alana not to talk, and they were kicking Chris off the beach. Joe got toxic. I think that's fair to say. He was grouchy. He was tired. He got toxic. He was in a bad mood, and then things worked out with Serena, and he changed his mind. Now, come on, let's just call it what it is. But he's still, obviously... He's been a big part of the franchise, so he is a protected player. It doesn't mean they're not going to give him some drama and some hurdles to overcome, but they've got his benefit in mind when they're in the edit room. You just can't separate the two.
On the beach, Becca wasn't toxic in her relationship on the beach. I'm not trying to speak for them. I'm speaking about my situation specifically. But if you're going to warn someone about someone, why not warn them about the toxic behaviors that people can have? Oh, because you yourself had toxic behavior on the beach when you were there.
I don't know if Blake had toxic behavior. I think a lot of behavior spilled onto the beach through misinformation that Kaylin brought. We've talked about this a ton. We go through it. But Blake hooked up with two different women while at Stagecoach consensually. Although you could say that Kaylin showed up to him even though he said, don't come over. That's a whole nother story. He released text messages. It created a wildfire because he was being sort of soft Me Too'd. I don't say that lightly. That's kind of what it was. People were accusing him of not necessarily sexually assault, but of things that were not true to that story at hand. He was given a bad edit. He was made to look horrible. The show did nothing to protect him when they could have easily changed the narrative. I mean, there were scenes where he was running to the bathroom to go pee, and they were making it look like he was running, to go fight with somebody. I mean, that's sinister. That's not protecting of your own.
I believe people can grow. I believe people can be better, but excusing toxic behavior as you're doing, and that's how I took it. Maybe that's not what you meant to do. That's how I took it.
Just rewatch it.
That's why I said what I said. I'm all about love and light, but do not come for me.
No one did.
Because I will say how I feel, and I will defend myself. And ladies, always defend yourself.
The reason why I took the advice he was giving so personally and offensively is because everybody else is literally in a relationship or engaged or married or on their way to such that has a podcast besides myself and Mike. What did we ever do to him? We never did anything to him. We would be the only people publicly that would go if we were to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, you didn't do anything to him, but your employer did something to him. He luckily took several years of spiritual awakening to overcome it. But he was really messed up over this. So it's nothing you did, Natasha. It's what your employer did. And he's warning people about your employer, the people that pay your bills.
I am not going. I've said that many times. You guys will not see me on the beaches of paradise. I, too, am very happy right now.
So I think she'd be a good bachelor. So then imagine bullying Blake when he didn't even say your name. Like, you are so immature. Imagine the word, and then she said, imagine using the word bullying to describe a woman disagreeing with a man. Yeah, I agree. That's not bullying. Bullying's the repeated harassment of someone. We need to really remind ourselves what bullying means. Someone's going to comment, no, Dave, it's actually this. Yeah, sure. Bullying's multifaceted. You know it when you see it. Obviously, this isn't bullying.
One of the things that we talk a lot about in our family with our kids.
Okay, anything else? Do everything like it is the last thing you do. Okay, all right. So then here's Blake's response. Getting a lot of these. You gonna respond to Natasha? Nope. Not worth my breath. Tell me it's the off season without telling me it's the off season. Have a good Friday. And there's Blake in a hot tub in the old boiling bidet, the old soup of sloth. I don't know, just, scrubbing your own. I love a good hot tub. Should we do a hot tub party? I need to just get a giant hot tub. The day that I get a hot tub and I can hook up a mic to it and do some power recapping from the bubbles will be the day that I really make it. Let's see if he said anything else. We're going to just refresh here. He said, I'm not going to say anything else, but this story is going to be ever evolving. There will be more to come from this story. Even if Blake's, I don't want to say Blake's taking the high road. He said what he said, and he's standing by it. And I get that. Now let's go back to Natasha Parker and just see if there's anything left, because this is all breaking right away. So let's just see if there's anything that we didn't get from her story right here. I've got my make down to about 20 minutes now. I'm proud. Okay, she looks great. We love Natasha. I love her to be a bachelorette. I think she's great. I love that she's giving her point of view. But when it comes to Ref Dave, I have to side with Blake on this one. Blake went out of his way to explain that it's a problem with the company, ABC, and the protected players, not what they are saying or doing, but how that they're going to get the benefit of the doubt in situations. And I think Natasha needs to give Blake the benefit of the doubt. I'd love to know what you think. Do you agree with me or not? Whose team are you on in this beef? We love both of them regardless. And we'll be back in a little bit with content coming your way. Patreon.com/Dave Neal for a live stream at 10 a.m. And then later on this evening, I'll be going live all night as I edit my Hawaii video. All right, folks, we'll talk to you in a little bit. Bye, everybody.